Hi, this is Alex from Metareal. Today I'm going to show you how to manually build floor plans using Metareal Stage and a simple rig which consists of a 360 camera. Before we go into the demo, I'm going to talk to you a bit about the shooting process. In this case, I wanted to shoot the bathroom and the corridor in the house. So basically I used an old Theta S with a monopod to minimize nadir surface. The Theta S is actually an old camera, and you can find probably a much better camera just like the Insta Pro or the Insta One X, or some of the rigs that allows you to take panoramas with your iPhone, like the nodal view systems. Okay, so the idea was to minimize shooting time and also to have some high precision floor plans done with that process. Just not necessarily usable in engineering, but at least good enough to be used for doing showing that on the website, or having some good information about the spaces that you are going to buy or you're going to rent. All right. Just to give you an idea, the shooting process took about 1 minute because I just needed to place the camera. I didn't even have to do any heavy staging or anything like that. Just make sure that most of the corners were visible from the camera point of view. In fact, you could probably get away with 1 shot per room in general. It's just when you have dead angles and things like that, you probably want to have more shots. But in this case, I only have 1 shot per room. So first thing we're going to do is import the images. So I'm just open image capture on the Mac. I'm going to grab my 2 pictures. I'm just going to drag them into a folder on my desktop. So it's done. The next step is to create a project inside of Metareal Stage. I'm going to hit the new project button, and I'm going to name that home test floor plan. There we go. And I'm going to upload the photos I just downloaded from my camera. Okay, so now let's start with our project. We're going to take that panorama here and start with a new room that uses it. So I'm going to name that correctly, corridor. There we go. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure to line up my panorama with the world axis, so it's easy to build afterwards. So I'm going to make that panorama a reference. And then what I'm going to do is use alignment tools to make sure that it's easy after that to snap angles and things like that. So the red line here is the general orientation of the room. Usually what I do is I place that along long walls, so it's easy after that to build corners. The next thing I'm going to do is make sure that the panorama is level. So I'm going to start drawing level lines. So I'm going to use wall corners like this to make sure my panorama is lined up. I'm going to use also the leveling view just to make sure that I can find walls that are not aligned correctly. For example, I have this one here. I'm going to go click here. So that's starting to look pretty reasonably straight. I'm going to use also that corner here. There we go. So that's also pretty straight. And just going to make sure in the back that we have some straight lines as well. So I'm going to use this and this. It's very important to have leveled panoramas, otherwise the floor plan is going to be distorted and you're not going to get the accuracy that you want. All right, so now my panorama alignment is done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing. Okay, so switching to the panorama view, so I'm gonna just start tracing my corners. So I'm gonna choose the corner right here. And as I move, you notice that the guide itself is pretty long along each of the axes, and this is really to help build accurate panoramas and align them along corners. All right, so if I press the 1 key, this enables the protractor, so it makes sure I snaps along 90 or 45 degrees or any multiple of 15 degrees really. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that corner right here. This is actually a cupboard. And then I'm going to move just here inside of the wall and then on the exterior right there. All right. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding up another point. Actually, I don't need that protractor. We have 2 protractors, which basically are the 2 corners that where your new corner is inserted. So I'm just going to switch on the second one so I can align this with this corner. As you can see, because we leveled it correctly, it's straight up and it's flush, which is super important. One of the things that that's going to be cool is that if we add this line here, just going to remove that protractor, but turn on the other one, we should have a line that brings us straight with the edge of the stairs right here, which shows us that it's pretty precise. Now, I just need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners left to do. So I'm just going to grab one here, just turn on the protractor, but place it along this corner here. Just make sure that it's aligned like this. Okay. And then for this one, I'm going to insert another corner here, but I'm going to align with number 1. So, and there we go. So that's pretty straight. Now, in this case, I could not capture this corner, but it doesn't matter because in this, what I can do is I can set another corner here, and then I can use both protractors, so 1 and 2, to make sure it snaps 90 degrees with the other door right there. So in this case, I know that there was no angle on this wall, and I can build the floor plan like this. Now I'm gonna set the ceiling height like this. So hopefully everything's aligned, and as you can see, the ceiling is also pretty well lined up. All right, so now that my floor plan is traced, and also that I've set up my ceiling height there, what I'm gonna do is make sure that we have the right measurement. So you were wondering why I put a measuring tape here. It's because in order to make sure you have the right measurements for the room, basically you need to know what the lens height of the camera was when you took the photo. In this case, you can also use another method instead of measuring the lens height, which is to actually measure a real world measurement and calibrate it with the editor. So in this case, I put the measuring tape here, and I know that between the red marker here and the end, it's 0.81 meters. So 0.81 meters. That's 32 inch. If you, in case you wonder why I put this magic number, and this is 32 inches. And I'm going to use calibrate. So I'm going to take this and put it there. All right. So this automatically calculated my lens height. And now I actually measured just to make sure that it was accurate. I did measure the real height of that room here. And in fact, if we go into the room, we have 2.43 meters. And the actual measurements were 2.45 meters, which is like a difference of 2 centimeters, which is pretty good considering the amount of work that we have done so far. All right, so now we have the correct ceiling height. What we are going to do is place doors. So that's pretty easy. You just click on the door tool. And then what I do usually is I take the door just on the outside of the frame right here, like this. I'm just gonna put it on this at this width, at this depth, sorry. And also for the doors, what I can do is I can rotate the angle like that. This door is going to be opening outward. So I'm going to do the same thing for all of the other doors that I have. I'm going to create the door right here. This goes there. Just to make sure this lines up. So this is opening outward. I'm going to rotate the handle like this. Same for this door here. So I'm going to take the outside of the frame. It's probably around here somewhere. So this means basically when it's red, it means it's going out of bounds. So we're just going to adjust it like that. So it's pretty easy to fix things. And I'm just going to make that open outward and rotate the angle like this. And I have one last door to be doing. It's this one. And it's around here. Oops. Oh, by the way, our system also has undo. In case you're doing a mistake, you can easily undo all the actions that you've done. I'm just gonna rotate the angle right here, and then we're gonna make that open outward. All right, so now we've completed our first floor plan. I'm just gonna name these doors correctly. So this is corridor to bathroom. This one is corridor to bedroom 1. This one is corridor to bedroom 2, and this one is corridor to bedroom 3. There we go. And so we can go back to our project and see what the floor plan looks like. So we're going to open the tour, and we're just going to drag and drop this room inside of the tour. And as you can see, we'll be able to see the different doors and also the dimensions of the shape of the corridor right here. So let's go with the bathroom. That should be pretty easy to do. We're going to create another room with this. And we're going to call this guy bathroom. All right. So as we did before, we're going to make that a reference. We're going to show the alignment tools. We're going to make sure that, we find a good wall where we draw straight. So we can take this. There we go. And then, like we did before, we're going to use the level lines. So we make sure the panorama is level. I'm going to switch to leveling view. There's another one here. There we go. Another one here. And this is starting to get pretty straight. I'm just going to use that big wall here just because it's pretty close, and I want that to line up correctly when I'm drawing my floor plan. There we go. So this is leveled. And then we're going to go in here, hide the alignment tools. Also, I didn't change the tripod when I was taking the shot here and in the corridor. So I know that this is 1.51. So it's the same camera height actually as this one. So I don't need to remeasure or recalibrate the dimensions. All right. So now let's start tracing our room. So I'm going to use the panorama view, and I'm also going to switch on my room drawing tool. So I'm going to start here on this corner, and I'm enable the protractor so I know where I am. I'm going to take that and actually draw this corner right here. and right up there. So now I have this corner, this corner, this corner, and then I can start drawing right here. Actually, this one has an angle, so I'm going to just adjust it to so I match the angle that is here. Again, we can set the ceiling of the wall. So it was 2.43. Just make sure it matches with the other room, like this. And then I'm gonna do the other corners over there. So this guy goes here. So I'm just gonna move it on the other side, or this side actually. And then I'm gonna use just make sure that we're lined up. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna line this up with this corner. So as you can see, it's pretty lined. I know this one here in the back is goes inside of the kind of the small alcove that is there near the mirror, and I'm gonna switch that to add another one straight up on this corner. And finally, I'm gonna add one last corner right there. So as you can see, ceiling wise, we're good. Now what we can do is we can do it inside of the shower. That's pretty easy. In fact, since everything's already aligned, I can just take that and move it right there at the end of the. And now, because like we did in the corridor, one of the things we can do is make sure we can actually use both protractors to snap that and make sure we have a correct angle, and we find this corner even though we don't see it in the panorama. So last thing we're going to do is place the door. So what's interesting with our system is that it lists all the doors that exist inside of the project. So in this case, I'm going to use the corridor to bathroom, which is an existing door. I'm just going to place it right there. And it's in the right direction. This guy goes inwards. So if I go back now to my project, and in the tour editor, I can add my bathroom to the floor plan. As you can see, it automatically snapped because it recognized the door. And also this wall is pretty straight. I can put that at 0 so we can see better without. So there's only a little bit of errors to be fixed here. So I just need to nudge that corner by a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the room editor for the bathroom. One of the things that's cool is because we're in the cloud, things get synchronized. When we do editing inside of one of the editors and the other one sees the same data, they get synchronized. So in this case, I'm going to move that little bit, that corner just a little bit, a few inches on the left. So I'm going to take this guy, and actually I'm going to take this guy, make sure it's straight with number 2, move it a little bit, and this guy should follow. Now if I go back to my other room, that's pretty good because this is the thickness of the wall. So now we have both rooms assembled in there, and then we have our floor plan. So one of the things you can do is we can go inside of this editor here, and you can export as SVG, but we also have the ability to actually go and export as other formats are usable in other software like DXF, for example. So I'm just going to go and export. So I'm going to export the floor plan as a DXF file. There we go. And in a few seconds, I should see it appear. So while it's doing this, like we showed, we have a pretty good precision. The ceiling I measured was 2.5 meters. We got 2.45 meters. We got 2.43. You can also, if you take a few measurements here and there, you can adjust it. So it's pretty precise. When we put the two rooms together, they were fitting almost perfectly. So just minor adjustments here and there. So it's not that, it's a pretty good process. So I'm going to download the zip files and open them. So I have my floor plan here, and I'm going to open it with a tool that reads the XF files. And there you go. You can also export as SVG and import it into your favorite package. So yeah, that you have a even better finishing process. So there we go. We saw the whole process of building floor plans using Metareal Stage. Thank you and stay tuned.